Hello and welcome to ET Now, Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Krishna Kumar coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. My colleague Chandra will be joining us live from ET Now's Bengaluru studios. First up, a check on all that's making headlines here at ET Now Startup Central. Airbnb is not afraid of competition from Oyo Rooms, says co-founder Nathan Blecherick. In an exclusive chat, the co-founder says India listings have more than doubled in the first 5 months this year. Flipkart's valuation has been marked down for the third time this year in what comes as a blow for the e-commerce major that is trying to raise funds in a difficult market. In a clear U-turn on its mobile-only strategy, fashion e-tailer Myntra will relaunch its desktop website starting the 1st of June. Owned by India's largest e-commerce player, Flipkart, Myntra had shocked everyone by shutting down its mobile and desktop website last year. Exclusive chat with CEO Anand Narayanan coming up. Another big voice on the show today, Kishore Biyani officially announces the acquisition of FabFurnish.com. Hometown is set to be the largest seller on the platform and both will operate as independent entities. Now, flying in a chartered flight or taking your wife on a business jet to show the Karwa Chauth moon won't cost you the earth. A group of Indian entrepreneurs with some funding from UAE have launched an online portal for booking charters. First up, the big voice on the show, Airbnb's co-founder Nathan Blecherick, who says that they are betting big on the Indian market. Speaking exclusively to ET Now's Chandra R. Srikanth, Nathan says that listings in India have risen almost 115% to 18,000 this year. Listen to this exclusive conversation.
I think India has so much potential, and we're just starting to see it take off now on Airbnb with 18,000 homes here. That's increased 115%. We also have seen travelers from India increase 185% over the last year. So we think that's really good momentum, although of course it's just the beginning. India has a thriving economy. Travel is set to grow. We think that rising tide is going to lift all boats, including the Airbnb boat. And so we've made it a company priority to invest here.
Okay. Let me also talk about, you said that you'll be bringing your global model here and, or will you look at a different way of dealing with the Indian market? Or is home ownership really a priority for Airbnb?
Well, we have an office here in India to be incredibly local. We want to make sure we understand the Indian market. We understand that there might be differences. To start with, we bring our kind of best-in-class practices from our global operation, and over time we can customize that as necessary.
Okay. Let me also talk about Oyo Rooms because, a lot of people say that India, the Oyo Rooms in India is, they're always comparing it to what Airbnb is doing. Oyo is tying up with a lot of hotels, trying to provide services there. How do you see the competition coming in from Oyo Rooms?
Well, it's true. We're both new companies, relatively speaking, but the offerings are really quite different. What's unique about Airbnb is these are people's homes. Every single home is different. You often get to interact with a host, so it's incredibly personal. And it's a way to not feel like an outsider when you're visiting, but really feel like an insider, like you're living there.
Have you followed the Oyo model closely?
I don't spend a lot of time studying the competition. Again, I don't actually view Oyo as a direct competitor.
Okay. Let me also talk about, a lot of people say that going forward, Airbnb will have a huge market here in India simply because the Indian market is also growing. It's under-penetrated at this point of time. What kind of investments are you looking to bring in into India?
Well, we really have the whole company behind us. It's a company priority. So not only do we have the office here in India, but also our office in Singapore and San Francisco supporting the effort. So we'll do whatever it takes.
Will you be hiring tech talent here?
We'll have to see.
Okay. Let me also talk about from the regulatory aspect, companies like Uber and Ola are facing a lot of difficulty with the government, changing rules and bringing in a new set of regulations. What would be something that you would be looking at from, your company's point of view, and will it really be that you'll be seeking from the Indian government?
So this is a new business model, and in the space of accommodations, the rules typically go back many decades. And so what we're looking for is modern policies for the 21st century that speak specifically to home sharing. and setting clear guidelines for how to do that responsibly. And we've seen many other countries do this successfully. We've seen the UK, France, Portugal, and others set national home sharing policies that are quite favorable. Just a couple days ago, the Indian government signaled that they think home sharing shows a lot of promise.
Okay. You're one of the youngest millionaires. Apart from that, you started programming at a very young age of 12. Help me understand. How do you look at the tech startup industry in India, and will you be looking to invest in startups, if at all?
Well, it's really hard to predict the future regarding investment. But listen, I think tech is this amazing thing. The whole world is now connected into one network, and it creates opportunity for so many people, especially those with tech skills. And so these companies that get started by usually just a couple smart individuals can turn into global phenomenons like Airbnb. So I think it's an incredibly exciting time.
Ruchi Bhatia in Delhi there, talking to the co-founder of Airbnb, one of the most admired companies from Silicon Valley. And this is only the first of many exclusive voices that we are going to get you on the show today. But Krishna, from a Silicon Valley unicorn, I believe you have news on an Indian unicorn which seems to have markdown after markdown every month.
Chandra, and I'm afraid, as you're rightly pointing out, not very good news. Flipkart's valuation has been marked down for the third time this year in what comes as a blow for the e-commerce major that is trying to raise funds in a difficult market. This time around, two mutual funds, Fidelity, Rutland Square and Valid Company, have marked their stakes down by as much as 39%, bringing its valuation to $10 billion compared to $15 billion in valuations in July just last year. In recent weeks, Amazon's pace of growth in India has raised doubts on Flipkart retaining its dominance. Other funds that marked down Flipkart in recent months include Morgan Stanley and T. Rowe Price.
And it looks like that trend is only going to continue because a lot more mutual funds will be disclosing their filings. But Sachin Bansal said last week that they're not new to down rounds. They did one some years back. So I guess mentally at least they've sort of adjusted to this new normal or this new reality, so to speak, that $15 billion is going to be a tall ask in such a market. But moving on from Flipkart to another unicorn, we're talking about Snapdeal. And from what we understand, they are very close to snapping up Housing.com. That's according to a few media reports. And remember, Housing.com has sort of been looking for a white knight ever since they went through that management turmoil last year. And we understand that this deal could be closed for less than $100 million. Remember, the common factor here, Krishna, is that both Snapdeal and Housing have a strategic investor in SoftBank. So perhaps it's SoftBank's way of really consolidating its portfolio in India.
Finally, Housing.com, some good news for that startup which has been through nothing but trouble over the last 6 to 12 months. But on that note, we need to take a short breather here on ET Now Startup Central. Lots coming up on the other side, including an exclusive conversation with none other than Kishore Biyani, who officially announced the acquisition of FabFurnish.com today. Don't go anywhere. Keep it with ET Now Startup Central.
Welcome back to ET Now Startup Central, and as promised, more big voices on this show today. Krishna, who do we have first?
First up, after testing waters with its app-only and then mobile-only strategy for a year, Myntra, which has announced the plans of relaunching its website on the 1st of June. Now, Myntra says while mobile will continue to be a focus area, they expect desktop to contribute over 20% in revenues and will help them break even faster. 18 Hours Rahul Dayama caught up with Anand Narayanan, CEO of Myntra, to know more details about their way forward. Listen to this conversation.
Critics are completely wrong. My sense, by the way, is India is a mobile market and eventually we'll win on mobile. The reason for actually us going back on the decision and introducing the desktop is the following. First, we find that the volume of customers who still want desktop has not died down. It's not grown, but it's not died down. And we believe that that customer segment we should not lose out on. Second, we've introduced a set of new categories: home, furnishings, jewelry, which all, by the way, customers tell us that on a bigger screen format will work better. Third, I've talked about this before, we are focusing on women. and mass premium customers. Mass premium customers typically have both a laptop and a smartphone, and they like shopping on both devices simultaneously, and we wanted to give the customers that option. I still believe app and mobile will be 80+% of the revenue, and desktop will be only the 15 to 20%. But we want to give customers the convenience there.
All right. You think that this move would have paid off if you would have been a little more persistent on this move for a few years?
If you look at our engineering and our resources, they're continuing to focus on the app because I believe that's where we're going to win. We're just making sure that we give consumers choice. Look, we're all about making bold moves. We're quite innovative as a company, but we also are humble enough to say when consumers give us feedback, we learn from it, right? That's also part of our culture. So I think that's all there is to it.
All right. A few questions. You think such futuristic bets would pay off for companies that are not really under pressure to, show GMV targets in a highly competitive world that we are in?
Sure. So firstly, by the way, I don't think we're doing this for GMV targets. We grew 70% year on year from last year to this year, and I think that's outstanding. So we're not doing this for GMV. We're doing this for consumer experience, right? And there is a segment of consumers that want it. That's why we're doing it. I believe it's not a futuristic bet. It's a current bet, and I do believe that the app only moved, and the app moved. We got the company and the culture focused on mobile and on app, and I think that will pay off big time.
Also, a few analysts have really said that, the decision was prompted by a move that your larger competitors were able to, get hold of customers who wouldn't really shop on the app. So the drop down in sales, let's get a little candid. Was that also a major reason?
Not really, right? So look, we lost, when we did the move, I've talked about this before, we lost about 20% of our revenue. Now, what actually happened was the app growth actually more than made up for it. So overall, we still grew by 70%. So I don't think this was driven by revenue growth. I think it was, again, as I was saying, driven by consumer and consumer experience. On competition, don't really want to comment on it. I think we are focused on consumers and making sure that they have a great experience and look good on Myntra. That's what drives our intent and behavior.
And then last two questions, I know you have to rush by, but now with your desktop site back in place, in terms of sales, what impact do you anticipate in terms of revenue? Because, a lot of consumers would again come back and shop.
Sure, I believe that we will get about 15% to 20% of our revenue from the desktop, and that's what I think will happen, and I think that's great. Most importantly, I believe that there will be many consumers that will shop on both devices, both desktop and the mobile app. And I think that will be an even better consumer experience. And I'm hoping that it builds more than revenue, it builds loyalty of our customers.
Hopefully that's the end of, the transition, Krishna, for Myntra, and we really have to wait and see, how this helps them in sales. But I think one thing that will work to Myntra's benefit is its biggest rival, Jabong, is not doing that well, and Amazon Fashion is not doing as well. So I guess that advantage they have. But moving on to that, to the original king of organized retail, we're really talking about Kishore Biyani, who recently acquired FabFurnish. And Krishna, I believe he's also given you a very important news spec, which is that he will look at listing the furniture retail business in future. Listen in to Krishna's interview with Kishore Biyani.
I think over the last 10 years, we have built the furnishing business of Future Group. And we believe there's an opportunity to look at a channel, which is a multi-channel opportunity. So FabFurnish opportunity has come on the way. And we believe FabFurnish is a marketplace. It sells many merchandise of many suppliers and many retailers also. How can Hometown be one of the major supplier to them? How can this marketplace flourish? How can we be profitable as early as possible? 3 months is our target to be profitable. And we have built a sizable business. So there's an opportunity to unlock value in this business now.
And when you say unlock value in the business, it obviously means that you want to list the furniture retailing business, which includes Hometown and FabFurnish, as a separate company sometime in the future?
I think FabFurnish is a separate company. If there would be an opportunity, we can look at Hometown demerging and merging with FabFurnish and maybe looking at a listing opportunity also. But that's a little far-fetched idea. But we believe there is a value to be unlocked there.
Right. There's so much talk about e-commerce, etc., etc. This is, one of the first acquisitions from Future Group when it comes to an online marketplace player. Can we see more in the offering from Future Group going forward?
I think wherever we see opportunity, wherever we believe we can add value, wherever we believe it can be profitable, we will look at opportunities.
What are the verticals will you be looking at to acquire online players, online marketplaces? Furniture is one category. You already have eZone, which has a omni-channel strategy. Either way, what are the other categories in which you'll be looking for online marketplaces that you can acquire?
I think we are only looking at specialty retail. Okay. So wherever there will be a niche and wherever we can add value, because we have built over a period of time multiple opportunities and multiple assets in the group. Whereas there's an opportunity to converge both of them, we'll look at an opportunity.
I also had to ask you, on this occasion, you are the newly crowned Managing Director of Bharti Retail, which will become Future Retail, and Future Retail will start to become Future Enterprises going forward. Talk to us about that. How far is that process of merging?
I think the process has already begun, and we believe the total company will be trading X by May 11th, where Bharti Retail will get into the process of listing. And you have to complete the formalities in 60 days, 70 days maximum to list that company. Bharti Retail will be rechristened Future Retail. I think this journey is already on. The process has started, and the scheme is now effective.
And how long before Future Retail becomes Future Enterprises, the back-end operations of your joint venture for retail?
I think Future Retail will continue to exist and be continued to be trading, and the formalities of name change and all is in the process of being done.
Also, I wanted to ask you, just in terms of this online marketplaces, GMV not being the metric for anything, and after all the clarifications which came out and etc., where do things stand as of now for retailers at this point in time in terms of the clarifications for FDI that came out and it needs to be implemented according to the Retailers Association?
I think the association is taking a view, the marketplaces are taking their view, everybody is trying to understand, grapple, talk to the lawyers, see what can come out. But I believe reality is dawning upon everyone now. What can be done, what can't be done.
All right, Chandra, so that was Kishore Biyani telling us the future plans, and more importantly, they are looking for more acquisitions when it comes to startups and online. So those who are watching us, you do have a buyer just in case things don't work out. Now, flying in a chartered flight or taking your wife on a business jet to show the Karwa Chauth moon won't cost you the earth. A group of Indian entrepreneurs with some funding from UAE have launched an online portal for booking charters. While that is common now, the startup JetSmart allows people to buy one seat on a charter flight and pay in EMIs. Take a look at this.
There are a total of about 124 private operators within India, and roughly there are about 246 aircraft, of which 142 are fixed wing and the balance 104 are helicopters. So even if you take airport to city transfers on helicopters, that's even another potential. So basically it's as what we would want to call, this is where we saw the potential and that's where we came in. And to paraphrase something like what Mark Twain said is, nothing is impossible and you want to remove the improbable. So a lot of companies aspire to achieve things, but perhaps they do not have the right resources, the right talent, and we believe here at JetSmart we have them all. So this is basically our aim, to make sure that a person gets the business class experience right from the word go. Because basically, if you see a business class travel in India, the term of business class experience comes for perhaps 25% of that journey. Because first of all, you come in to the airport 2 hours earlier, then there's a line right from the entrance checkpoint to your check-in area, to your security check, and then the actual flight time. Whereas here, with the private, you come to a separate terminal. There are airports or cities which have got airports which are not that far away. For example, Bangalore, it's the HAL terminal where you will be taking the aircraft from and not the new airport, so that saves time. And within a few minutes, you're on your aircraft and you're there. So this is an experience that you will want to get, and you can get it for all the time, not that 25% or 30% of the travel. We're looking at quite a few operations that you can call out. One is your regular charters, which is point A to point B. And this can be in any which particular way. It could be to the metros, it could be non-metros. And another big area that we're looking at is the empty seats, the return legs that come in empty. For example, the aircraft whose it is, the boss is flying, let's say, from Delhi to Mumbai. Perhaps Mumbai doesn't have the parking space for that aircraft to stand, it comes back empty. So that return leg is a dead loss. So if we can try to promote that and fill that in, that is a win-win both for the passenger as well as for the operator. And our plan is to make best with whatever we have, with the resources that we can provide. And we don't even limit ourselves to, as say, mainland India. The northeast is a neglected area. Over there also there is immense potential. During the summer holidays, areas such as your Kulu, Manali, Kulu, that's huge demand for that, to serve them. So we want to explore every possible way of trying to serve all these places and give it out to the people. We even have offered a EMI scheme for the people so that it makes it affordable for a normal middle class person to even avail this kind of an experience.
JetSmart's founder there talking to us right from his chartered flight. But Krishna, are you booking one anytime soon, considering appraisals have just come, so you have all the extra money you want in your account?
And with that, we wrap things up here on this edition of 18 Hours Startup Central. Thank you so much, Chandra, for nudging me along a path that I'm not sure if my wallet can take. But we do say goodbye over here. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching ET Now. Coming up next is ET Now News First at 7.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.